This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.
Thanks for listening to Grilled by the Staff Canteen. I'm Cara, editor of the Staff Canteen, and if you enjoy this episode, please do pass us on to a friend. The more listeners, the better, obviously. In this episode, I'm talking to the king of fish himself, Nathan Outlaw. He was actually one of the first chefs I met when I started at the Staff Canteen, which was 6 years ago, which I was reminded of this week, so it's a long old time. And he's always a pleasure to chat to, so I'm looking forward to this. So welcome to Grilled, Nathan.
Thank you, Cara. Nice to speak to you.
A lot has changed in the 6 years since I first met you, both for yourself and obviously the industries, which is why, I kind of wanted to talk to you. But first, let's stay on side, kind of positives. And so what have you enjoyed most about lockdown? You've just said that you were really, really busy. I was going to say to you, if being able to spend more time with the family and things like that, but
well, for the first couple of weeks, like everybody, we were all locked down, big time. So there was no going into work really. But I mean, within a couple of weeks, we had to start thinking about how we're going to save the business. So I got straight back into on my own, basically. Everyone else was on furlough, and I was myself and Rachel, my wife. We just sort of put the plans in place to start getting ready for a takeaway, and then really sort of thinking about what we're gonna do in the future, because obviously a lot of things for everybody has changed. So there's a lot of planning, and so like you say, naturally getting time with the kids. I mean, I had some nice evenings off. I found out what it's like to have evenings off, which is quite nice.
So novel.
It's amazing. And actually, like weekends, isn't it? You can have a Saturday and Sunday off if you want in hospitality. It's been a lot to think about, but it's been good because I think probably before lockdown I was so sort of wrapped up in so many things that I didn't really think straight. So that's one thing that's come from it. I've managed to get my head on straight, and now I'm sort of in a zone where I think I know what I want to do and where I want to go. And it says me, who's like 42 and been cooking for ages, but it's one of them things where you've, I think when you're in the midst of sort of having a hectic life, you don't really, sometimes you sort of miss maybe the focus on what you should be focusing on, or maybe you're not paying attention to the people that you should be paying attention to. So, there's a lot of good things that have come out of it. For me personally, probably more good things than bad.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's really nice to hear. And obviously, I've got you on here for a podcast. Podcasts have gone crazy. Everyone is doing podcasts, so obviously we had to jump on the bandwagon. I just wondered do you listen to podcasts, Nathan? Do you have a particular favourite if you do?
Yeah, I've been listening for quite a while to. I like Ollie Smith. He's quite a glass with. I think that's a good one I listen to. I've actually spoken on that. That's why I know about it. And then I like BBC Radio 4's food programme. I think that's good. There's some really interesting stuff on that. They always seem to, Dan Saladino he covers a lot of stuff. I quite like him. And then there's actually one that I spoke to whilst I was in lockdown, and actually based in Australia, called Deep Into the Weeds, which is a guy called Anthony Hucksteck. They call him Huck, but he's like a food critic in Australia. But it's quite interesting to listen to those because you can hear about what's happening in a different country. So, and that's so they're the sort of ones that I know about. And then obviously,
so they're all food related. All food related.
Of course.
I started listening to Peter Crouch's podcast actually. Weirdly, it popped into my things to listen to. It's really funny actually if you get the opportunity. It's quite interesting because he's very unfiltered, so he tells you a lot about the ins and outs of what goes on behind the scenes in football that you don't, obviously the media don't normally let you see, so the press so I've quite got into them myself as well, and also the other thing is we all had to rely more on social media, and we've just been chatting about doing Zoom calls and things like that. So is there anyone that you particularly really enjoy following on social media? Is there anyone that you think you look forward to their posts?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I mean, I think Matty Matheson, the Canadian chef, I think he's quite good. He's he's just a bit out there and a bit different, and it makes me laugh a lot. And I think he actually brings people down to earth with his cooking, and sort of says that you can still do good cooking. I just think he's hilarious. And I think well, Alan Passad's one's very inspirational. I think, like, there's an older 3 Michelin stars chef, and you see what he cooks, and he's very open with it, actually. I mean, daily he's putting out there what he's doing and what he's cooking at home, and I think that's quite a nice one as well. It's so much of it on there, isn't it? I mean, I think in lockdown everyone was cooking, including myself, cooking little videos and doing stuff and keeping ourselves busy. So it's definitely a different world now. And it's a good thing, I think. I mean, social media keeps everyone connected, and I think you got to take it with a pinch of salt sometimes. So some of the stuff you see on there and some of the stuff that's said, you just got to, you got to have. I think you just got to get, if you're happy with what you do, you're fine. I mean, I just think it's opened up, especially our industry, the catering industry or hospitality industry. It's opened it up and made it much more accessible. So, when I first started cooking with no social media, everything was secretive, and everybody was like, "This is my secret recipe," and no one can know it. Where I think the good part of social media is that actually now everyone shares what they're doing, and it's a nice thing, I think.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You said obviously Alan Passad, and obviously you would, as a young chef, you'd love to have been able to have that kind of insight, but it wasn't available, was it? So it's quite cool that you can do that now.
Yeah, the only way you would have seen what he did is if you ate there, which as a young chef was not going to happen because it's too bloody expensive. And then, or you went and worked there, which was sort of, which it was not a question for me. It didn't happen. So now that he's on there and he's doing and sharing all his ideas, it's fantastic. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, I wanted to talk to you because yesterday Michelin have announced that they're now moving their guide event to January. So I just wondered what you thought about that. Is that a good thing? Do you think chefs in the industry be relieved that that's happening, or do you think it can happen still the same way as it would in a normal year, because we've lost so much of this year?
Yeah, I think Michelin's always going to be there, and they're always going to be the one that people look to, especially in the cooking, in the hospitality world. I'm not sure that the general public use it so much. I think it's more about the industry that we're in, that sort of see the Michelin Guide as the holy grail. But from my point of view, it's I think it's very unfair for anybody. What I'm trying to say at the moment, judging restaurants is one of those things could be a little bit unfair, because every restaurant has a different circumstance, and every hotel has a different circumstance, every pub does, and it's survival, I think, at the moment. So judging as like inspecting, I think it's a bit could potentially be a little bit unfair on businesses. So in terms of what Michelin are doing, I think it's going online and doing a guide. It makes sense for them to do that, because I'm not sure whether a paper copy really sells that much anymore anyway. I think everything's online. In terms of Michelin stars, in terms of what we're doing, I don't expect to get any Michelin stars for what we're doing now, because we've completely changed tack. Fish Kitchen is still the same with what it does. And that's not changed. So they had 1 Michelin stars. There's no reason why that should be any different. But the actual with changing restaurant Nathan Outlaw to Outlaw's New Road, it's a different thing. It's not even coming to my mind, to be honest with you. I didn't even know that they were changing it to January until you just told me. So
okay.
It used to be in January, didn't it? Before, when I first got my Michelin stars, it was always awarded in the January, and it was with a fax. And you used to get like
a fax. Wow.
A fax would come through with a press release on it if you wanted it. There was no big awards ceremony or anything like that. It was just sort of like first time you saw it was when it was in black and white in the little red book.
I'm not really sure how we describe a fax machine to the young chefs that might be listening to this that have never heard of one before.
Excellent.
So is it still special though, Michelin? Do you still get excited? Not this year aside, let's ignore this year, but previous to that, is it, even from getting your first one to continuing and holding those stars, do you still get excited about Michelin?
I think it's very exciting if it means a lot to you. I'm very proud of what we achieved, especially when I got the first. I think I was 25 when I got the first star, and it wasn't something that be honest with you, I was on my own in the kitchen with one other commie chef, and I was just concentrating and trying to stay alive, trying to stay in business. So it was just, it was a good thing, and it's always been a good thing for me. I'm never gonna have a bad word said against what Michelin do and what it means to everybody in the industry, because it's a very powerful thing, and certainly the opportunity that I've had wouldn't have come unless I hadn't have had that sort of that accolade, or that sort of endorsement, I suppose. But I suppose as I've gone on personally, it's just become I've realised that there's also lots of other things in life as well. So nothing changes in terms of what I'm doing as a standard. We still get the same ingredients, we still cook with the same care. It's just that we've had to change the model of what we do because to make the business survive. So in terms of, am I excited about Michelin? Yeah, of course. Any chef that says they're not, then they're lying, I think. Because it's one of those things. But it's just, you've got to put priority on things that are important in your business right now, and looking for accolades and trying to aim for things in order guides is just not on the top of the agenda right now. On top of the agenda is survival.
Yeah, I mean, normally at this time of year, I'd be doing a piece about, predictions for stars. So it's a very upside down world for us at the minute. And like, well, what do we do now then if there's no Michelin? What are we going to gossip about? Find something else.
It's always funny that there's always that gossip that goes around, but I don't think anyone really knows. I think they keep their cards so close to their chest. I mean, over the last, say, 5 years, you can think of experience, think of gossip that came out that's never ever come to anything. So I just think that they keep, as an organisation and as a group, I personally have never actually sat down and had a full-on chat and all that sort of stuff in all the time that we've been in the guide. I suppose that's like 2004. So what are we now to 2020? So 16 years. And that's I've never read you. So unless anybody else has got some sort of secret hotline to them, I don't think anyone ever knows. I think it's purely gossip and rumour mill. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the editor of the Michelin Guide, I would definitely chuck some curveballs in there just because I could, because it's not like you have to back it up, is it? They do definitely do a few controversial things every now and again, don't they? Which is it's great fun to read, but it's not great fun if it's you that's involved in it.
I mean, some chefs, obviously, as we all know, get really sort of like stressed around that sort of time, and puts a lot of pressure on them. And I think, that's the one side of it. Personally, I just don't like about it. It's just like it's unnecessary. I think in the hospitality industry, we have enough pressure on day-to-day running a business, whether it be through customers, whether it be staff, and the pressure on top of that, where some chefs put themselves under, is just, I don't think it's very healthy.
No, definitely not. I mean, you're all under enough pressure as it is. So, right, let's talk about obviously everything that's changed over the past few months. I mean, you mentioned obviously you've been in the industry a long time. Of the decisions that you've made over the past few months to change the direction of your businesses and choosing not to reopen, obviously businesses in London and things, are they the most difficult you've had to make in your career? Or I don't know, maybe now chatting to you, I feel like maybe you just found a new perspective, so maybe it wasn't that difficult for you.
Well, I think the closures of places, I mean, if you want to take, for example, say Dubai, I mean, that was out of my hands. Jumeirah as a hotel group just wanted to change what they were doing. So we've been with them for 3 years. They had a new CEO. He didn't want us there. We're gone. As simple as that. And that's just the way it goes. In terms of the Goring and Siren, and Jeremy Goring and I are very good friends, and that is a real shame. That's just purely down to COVID. It's unfortunate because we've got the restaurant, we've been open for about 9 months, and we got to a point where, when you open a restaurant, you get to a certain point where it's going to be a good one or it's going to be a bad one, right? And we got to that point where it found the right level, it was getting consistent business and it was doing really well, and then just that hit, and I said to Jeremy and to David, who's the managing director, and I said to him, like, we've got no option, so that was really gutting.
So that must have been tough to talk to, like, the staff, the team and everything.
Yeah, very much so, because I mean, them guys, we were very lucky. I mean, I think, you know, it's like opening a restaurant, you lose staff, but we only lost 2 staff in 9 months. And that was incredible, you know. So usually you go through a few because it's just tough when you open a restaurant. But I mean, we had a really good team, and Ginger, who was my head chef there, fantastic guy, you know, and James.
He was with you at the
chef.
Capitol as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And he said, you know, and it's that is a real shame. So that was a real gutter, and that did. I'll be honest with you, that did knock me out. I was a bit like, I come back from London after having to do all that, and was not in a good place, because it is quite hard, because I was, you know, I wasn't. No one was seeing any of this happening. You know, like the COVID thing, but I just didn't see that coming, because it's a strong business. And it's unfortunate. I feel bad for the Goring as well, because the Goring, they put a lot into that, and the future, you never know what happens in the future. Maybe hopefully in a few years' time we get back to some sort of normality, and we can do something else again. But I mean, at the moment, obviously that's not an option. So, but yeah, that was gutting. And then I suppose the only other change, I suppose, in the last sort of 5 years, which is be the Mariners. And that was just purely sort of I did 5 years at the Mariners, and with Sharps Brewery, and we had a good time together. And I just didn't fancy doing pub anymore, and that was pretty much it. And it's pub's a different thing. And I think Paul Ainsworth's gone and done a fantastic job with it, with the Mariners, and it looks great. And they're busy. I know they're very, very busy, because I see we're very close. We're not far away from each other. So in terms of their business, they're doing very, very well. So yeah, I mean, now it's just a very straightforward focus of Outlaw's New Road and Fish Kitchen. So I've got, currently as I sit here, I mean, I'm back in the kitchen cooking, and where I think I should be, with nothing. There's a few things happening, but nothing in terms of opening restaurants or doing anything like that. There's nothing planned, and I think it's not okay financially. It's not a great thing, let's be honest, but in terms of for myself and my mental well-being, and for me and my family, it's actually a good thing.
Yeah. So Outlaw's New Road, obviously that's now what restaurant Nathan Outlaw was. That's what you've changed to. Obviously forced to do that because of circumstances, I'm assuming. But is this kind of, in a way, something that you always wanted to do? I mean, we talked beforehand, and you said you finally feel like you kind of know what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, the COVID situation has just enabled me to do something that I've been thinking about for probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I'd got to a situation where I'd had Dubai, I had London, Mariners, honestly these 2 restaurants going, so 5 things going. And when all that was going, if I'll be completely honest, I wasn't happy. I was, with life, it was too much for me. I'm not one of those chefs that can juggle all those different things. I take it too personally, and I take what I do very personally. So I think the situations allowed me to have the confidence to go, actually, you know what? I wasn't happy with the way I was very proud of what Restaurant Nathan Outlaw did. Obviously, we did amazing, like in terms of, and I'd never belittle or sort of take away what the staff of that. The guys that work with me worked seriously hard to achieve what we did. But I never truly in my heart did I think it had the longevity that I want from my own business, which is I want to still be doing this until I'm an old man, right? Yeah. So I don't have any plan of retiring and selling everything and going away to flying away to the sun or whatever. I love where I live. I love where I cook, and I still love cooking. So for me, it's about cooking at a level or putting out food and an experience for customers that I would love to sit and eat in myself 7 days a week. So Outlaw's New Road is just basically, standards are no different than Restaurant Nathan Outlaw. Everything we buy is the same. We've not lost a member of staff. We've kept everybody on that was working in the old restaurant. So it's actually no different, but I just don't feel those pressures that what brings you with that fine dining level, where the expectation, because of the price tag being £145 for food, is not there. I don't think is there anymore. So, and it gives us flexibility. So before, I always used to use like turbot and use scallops and lobsters and things like that, which are all luxury ingredients. But now I'm using, hakes and mackerels and horse mackerel and all the different fish that probably didn't have enough value for a diner who's paying 140 quid. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the quality. The quality is brilliant, but now it's just giving me much more scope and much more of a spectrum to actually cook from. Whereas before it was just a much more narrow, sort of almost like a Shire horse. You were sort of, that was the road you were going down. Now it's the whole horizon's just opened up, and I can use whatever I want. And I think that's got longevity, from so many different ways, sustainability, from the ethics of it all, and the price tag. So now you can come in and have a main course and go. You don't have to sign up for the 4-hour marathon of dishes. It's a different thing. And also it just gives us, from a service point of view, I mean, the guys were always under a lot of pressure, because obviously that attention to detail and all that sort of stuff is quite high. But we're all in, I feel that with the change we've made, everyone seems to be enjoying themselves much more, and that's the most important thing.
We've launched the Staff Canteen Awards 2020. Never mind Michelin stars and rosettes, this year's must-have accolade is our gold mug. The awards will be live on our Facebook page on November 18th, so save the dates. We'll be announcing categories and how to nominate soon, so keep an eye on our social channels and website for more info. All of the winners will be voted for and nominated by the public, so no judging panel, no stuffy dinner, and no expensive event ticket. TSC are breaking the mould. So come on, you all know you want a gold mug to add to your collection.
I mean, I bet you never thought you'd be opening the fish kitchen with 3 tables. That's a bit bizarre.
Well, actually, the way the fish kitchen's gone, because it's only got 3 tables. Obviously, before it had 8 tables, and then we had like a menu of different dishes. So it's a bit like an a la carte menu. So you could go in there and choose one dish and have a glass of wine and go. But that doesn't obviously work with 3 tables. So the concept is now a set menu. So like when you go to the fish kitchen, you have a set amount of dishes for a set price. So it's almost like restaurant Nathan Outlaw switched to the fish kitchen, and and that's gone the other way. So they've it's good because like the consistency.
It's a very intimate dining experience.
Yeah, I mean,
that many tables.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been there, or if anyone's been there, they'll know that it's like a fisherman's front room. It's like, it's the smallest. I think it must be the smallest one Michelin star restaurant out there. It's got to be. It runs with 2 people in the kitchen, no KP. 2 chefs in the kitchen, no KP, and 2 out front. That's it. Total staff, 4 people, and because. Obviously, if you've got 3 tables, you need to know, from a business point of view, you need to know them people that are going to sit there and going to spend the money it's required to make the business run. So that's why we've done the set menu. So when you go there, we can always guarantee that booking is going to spend a certain amount of money. So it's a strange old thing, but it's working.
Yeah. And what's customers' kind of feedback been? Are they're happy with the changes? Are they kind of embracing where you've gone?
We've gone to town on making sure it's really secure. So our front door is locked. You can't get in unless you've got a book in. We have screens between every table, sanitizers on the walls, the toilet before you go in the toilets, all that sort of thing. So we've really gone to town. All the guys front of house wear face visors. All the chefs wear face masks. So we've through doing that, part of me says I've gone over the top, but part of me says, like, we've given the customers lots of confidence, and that's the feedback that we've had. So the feedback has been that people have gone to, obviously when you come to Cornwall, you come for a week or 2 weeks. Most of the time people come in on holiday, and they obviously go to eat at other places. So the feedback that we've had is they've loved to come in here, but because they're getting nice service and nice food, but it's because they feel secure. So I think going forward, I don't see that sort of stuff going away for a while, with a small dining room that we've got, and with the small amount of tables we've got to make sure that people come back. So it's I think it's a gamble it's not a gamble, it's a safety thing, but it's paid off doing that. And the actual look of the restaurant, I mean, you can't see it obviously when you're listening to a podcast, but it looks smart as well. I think we've done quite a good job on making something that essentially looks like a science lab, because it's like perspex screens, but actually
that must be so strange for you to come in and see all of that.
Well, I think people think that they look at it and they think when they get there, okay, yeah, it's obviously different. But once you sit in that zone, you feel like you've got your own little booth, and they're all sort of positioned looking out to sea. So once you're in that, you feel like you're in your own little private dining room. So it's quite nice.
Yeah. And you talked obviously about the change in the direction of your food and being able to use ingredients that maybe you wouldn't normally have been able to use before this. We touched briefly on the guides. Do you worry about what they're going to say? Do you worry about like losing accolades or anything like that? Is that going to affect your business, do you think? Is that something that you actually think about, or is it something that you've kind of put on the back burner for now?
I'd like to think that just through the years of doing what we've done as an Outlaws collective of people, like, I mean, the way I see it is the reputation that the guys have got front of house for the service and what we do for the food over the last 15, 16 years, because most of them have been with me for that long. I would like to think we're stronger than the accolades. And the reason why I say that is because I think, the accolades are great and they're there. So I'm not worried. I'm confident in my team and confident in what we do. So I feel hopefully that'll be enough to bring the business in. There's no reason why we would lose any of the accolades. So what I mean by is that the standard of what we're doing and what we're putting out is still top drawer in my eyes. So in terms of it just doesn't tick the boxes of the mystical Michelin guide rules. That
those boxes might be.
That no one actually knows about. This is the thing. This is it. There's all these little unwritten rules, but no one's ever seen them written down. So, but I believe because we've had the freedom in the kitchen to cook with anything we want to, I think the food's better. Okay. I think what we're doing now, personally, my gut feeling is the food that we're doing at Outlaws New Road is better than at Restaurant Nathan Outlaw, because I just think it's just opened up. It's just opened up our mind to a lot more ingredients and different things, and I think it's a much more exciting experience, because you'll come here. Before it was a bit. Restaurant Nathan Outlaw was it had a concept basically. It had like you knew. Maybe through social media, through people that talked about it, you knew what you're going to get when you come in. Now, as a customer, you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. And I think that's quite cool. So, I mean, we haven't got any signature dishes on. We've got a few signature things like sauces and whatever I've done in the past. But in terms of the dishes that people were Instagramming or the people were talking about, they're not on the menu. So in terms of like, if you're sort of if you're really into you're eating out and you like to see something a bit different, that's what you're going to see from it. And and everything is that much fresher and that much quicker, because now we're not sort of tied to getting a certain amount of fish every week because we know we've got that certain amount of numbers for that menu. Now we're just sort of whatever comes in the door, we change the menus. The menu changes every service. I'm not saying that every dish changes, but there's things. I might get 3 gilt head breams, for example, that's only going to cook for about 8 people. I'll just put it on the menu and then it comes off again, and it might not be available. So you couldn't really do that under the constraints of a stereotype 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah. Well, I do like to think that unless obviously the restaurant's closed, that they're not going to start removing accolades from this year. It just seems a little unfair to me, but who knows? Like you said, the magical, mystical Michelin guide, who knows what they will do. We shall see. So when you started as a chef, did you always think, I'm going to have a restaurant here, I'm going to have a restaurant there, one in Dubai, one in London, we're traveling all over the place? Or was that never in the plan? Is that just kind of the way your path has kind of gone?
Well, when I started cooking, I didn't even know that there was awards. I didn't know that there was Michelin stars. I didn't know. I became a chef because I watched my dad cook and I thought it was really good fun. And I loved going in the kitchen and the camaraderie, and all the guys that were in there were funny and a good laugh. I mean, that was really, I just loved cooking and I never thought about doing anything else. So really,
your dad still worked with you in London, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, through because of the siren closing, that it coincided him with being 65, so he retired. So that works out, I would say, perfectly for him because he wanted to continue to work, but it was a natural finish. But no, my dad was, well, I say he was, because he's finished now, a chef for 50 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he cooked from. I never ever saw him not cooking, as a kid.
Yeah.
So I think that was what inspired me, sort of to actually start cooking and to do what I do. But
I like that you keep your parents both busy, because you've got your dad in the kitchen, your mum looks after your PR for you. It's like put them to work.
yeah, they got to. Yeah, I mean, Dad's now he's in his allotment every day now, so he's growing stuff. But I grow a lot of stuff as well, so that's a good connection for us. And so Mum looks after the diary, make sure I turn up when I should do.
I think that's a tough job.
Yeah, it is. It's a bloody nightmare.
So sorry, you were saying that obviously that inspired you to go into the kitchen, watching your dad. So I purely started cooking because I enjoyed cooking. No, there's no other reason. I didn't know that you could, because this was before there was any sort of, the only sort of food, I suppose, when I started cooking, the only sort of thing you ever saw on telly would have been, so Gary Rhodes his first series was on telly, Roads Around Britain. And to be honest, I missed all the things like the Marco Pierre White thing. I missed that. I didn't see that on television. I didn't see the Roux Brothers things. I didn't see any of those. I didn't know anything about them guys. I didn't know anything about, and this was before Gordon Ramsay and had even sort of, become who Gordon Ramsay is. So the only chef I ever really knew about was Gary Rhodes and Rick Stein. And I went on to work with both of them, which was really nice. Yeah.
Gary Rhodes for a very short time, because I was young and inexperienced, and I was like, this is too much hard work, I'm out of here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What's too much hard work?
Well, when someone goes from having a cushy life as a 16-year-old, living with their parents, and then going to do like 16-hour days, it's a bit of shock to the system. So I was like, "What the hell is this?" Yeah. So it's quite funny because I saw, before Gary passed away, I did see him a couple of times, and he did still laugh about them. He just sort of not hanging around for very long. But I did learn a lot from that experience. And then it's likewise with Rick. I'm actually with Rick tomorrow, which is really nice. But Rick Stein, I still see now, and he's a massive inspiration. So they were the two chefs I didn't know about the world of Michelin, because both of those, even though I think Gary had Michelin stars, but it was more because I saw him on a TV. So I suppose it wasn't until I went to, my first job was Intercontinental in Hyde Park Corner, my first one out of college. And I remember walking in on the first day, and there was this big picture of a team on the thing, and it said 1 Michelin star. And that's the first time I ever realised that there was actually an award. You got awards for cooking. Yeah. I didn't really think, I didn't know, because it wasn't something that I got taught at college. They didn't make a big big thing about awards at the college I went to, so it was just all about cooking. And then you discover, then you get into the industry, and then you find about all the different things. And now it's like everything every time you turn on the telly, it's cooking, or you go on the internet, it's cooking.
It's exploded, hasn't it?
Magazines and everything. I think it's been a very exciting time, in a time that I've come from into the industry, and up until now, it's been a very exciting time to be a chef.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm sure you've got some good stories from working with Rick Stein as well. I was talking to Glyn Pennell about his new book the other day, and some of the stories in there are amazing. And although he does say that is the censored version, and knowing Glyn, I definitely believe that. So.
Yeah, I think all chefs that have worked for a long time in any kitchen will have so many stories, and I think it's probably not. I'd probably say like 2% of it's actually printable.
No, definitely. But obviously, working with Rick didn't put you off. That wasn't too much hard work, then, no.
No, it was hard work, but by then I realised that you've got to work hard. It was a learning there. So it was working with Rick was really, really good. I mean, I did a couple of years in Padstow, and I think that was, until to this day, is still what inspires what I cook right now. Albeit I haven't travelled extensively as much as Rick, and I think what Rick really inspired me with was his he travels so well, so he it just opened your eyes up to a whole different world, different cuisines, different cultures, different styles of cooking, which you'd never be able to experience in the UK. So I think that was what was great about working with Rick. And he's a top guy as well, you know. So he's basically, he's probably my idol in terms of seafood cookery. So it's great to work with someone like that.
Yeah, and it's good. Obviously, you still have a relationship with him. You still see him. So
yeah, we did some filming a couple of weeks ago, which is nice for his new TV series, which was good, just in my kitchen. And then tomorrow we're gonna go out on a lobster boat and just sort of film that as well. So yeah, it was nice to do that.
Yeah, that's a nice Thursday. It's a nice Thursday to look forward to, isn't it?
I've still got to get back for lunch.
You're living the dream there, Nathan. If we discover a vaccine tomorrow, would everything that you've changed, would you change it back, or are you very happy that this is the new year, the new direction that you're going in?
I would definitely not change back. I think what we're doing now is the right path. I think Outlaw's New Road is a good. What I've seen of it in the last, I think we've been open 12 weeks. I think about 12 weeks. It's just it's sort of reignited my sort of love of cooking and refreshed everyone. We've been very busy, and obviously you've still got the other pressures of what's going on, but it'll be no reason to bring that restaurant back. Yeah. In terms of the future, who knows what goes on with other things, you know, in terms of would I ever do something that's a bit different? Yeah, I mean, you can't answer that question because you never know what's going to happen. But in terms of restaurant Nathan Outlaw coming back after when things go back to normal, should we say, no chance.
No. Very adamant with that answer. You could just get rid of all the screens and stuff. That would, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah. That's fit a few more tables in.
Yeah. No, definitely. Well, you seem like really excited about the new direction. Like you just genuinely seem when you're talking about it, which is really, really good. Really good to hear. So it's nice and positive.
I mean, I've got nothing to grumble about. I mean, I'm still breathing, and people are still coming to eat our fish. So it's a good thing. And I think with the challenge, let's face it, the challenge that everybody, the whole industry's gone through in the last sort of 6 months is the biggest challenge that has ever happened since the war, right? You know, since the second, it's been a massive change for everyone. So if you can come through that as a business, as a chef, restaurateur, public, and whatever hotelier, and come out the other side of that, I think you can deal with anything.
Yeah.
So I think with that in mind, and I think to myself, if I'm still smiling and all the staff are still smiling and customers are coming, then I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. And it must be quite tough to see some people who haven't managed to survive, because there's been some casualties along the way, and I've no doubt that there probably will be a few more before this is over. So that must be quite tough to watch people that going through that.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I feel for anyone there. When you come to, I've gone from a couple of things where it's closed, so it's not a nice feeling, and at the end of the day, it's people's livelihoods, and it's sort of, that is tough. And getting rid of people is the toughest thing you can ever do in the industry, is laying people off. It's the hardest thing you can do, I think. Definitely within a professional career. It's just a horrible thing to do. So that is really tough. But the problem is there is so many different circumstances for different. You've got to take. Everyone's in the same boat, but everyone's got different circumstances within their business. Yeah. You don't know. You don't know the ins and outs of everyone's business. So when you see, that's why I never judge, and I don't think people should judge what they see via press or rumor or media or whatever. I think you got to think that there's a lot more going beyond that. You don't know how much you don't know how much rent they're being charged. You don't know what pressures they're under from the bank. You don't know, it's all these things that come into it that never really gets written about or gets talked about, but is there. And that's the hardest thing. I'm just very lucky that our business is very clean cut. It's me, Rachel, and that's it. We've got no investors, no backers. And I think where the difficulty comes in with restaurants and any sort of hotel or pub, is that you don't know what the situation is, but beyond what you see facing business, you know, I mean, there's so much so many levels. You know what their investors are. You don't know what the situations are. So yeah, it is tough, and I feel for anybody that's going through that. It's not nice.
Yeah, but I mean, we have seen new openings and things, so it's good to see that the industry is kind of, you know, it is coming back to life. So
yeah, I do think you're going to see a massive new part of hospitality industry, which is takeaway and delivery, but not on the level of just burgers and stuff. I think you're going to see some really clever, inventive and really sort of forward-thinking businesses created where you are getting deliveries that are special, you know. And I think it's already started. You know, I think there's already people out there already that are doing it's Deliveroo for example, do a great service in that delivering in cities. You know, because what a lot of these restaurants can do, hopefully, is they can sort of jump on that bandwagon of delivery. I've seen doing takeaway that it's a lot of hard work, but it is an area where people, if they put their minds to it, like chefs and restaurateurs, can maybe go in to sort of save themselves or create a new different business. Because there is as many people as are going out to eat right now, or going to going out to restaurants and pubs right now. There's way more people still at home, not 100% sure what's going to happen, and they're a bit scared. So I think there's that whole delivery thing is something that, you know, if I was in a city, I'd definitely be on that.
Yeah.
Definitely be on that.
It may well be something that needs to be added to the guides going forward, if that's
we don't get Deliveroo in Port Isaac. I don't think we ever will do either. So, I might get myself a scooter. You never know.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Please do. Please do. I want to see that on social media. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you as normal, Nathan. And, you know, you have to enjoy the little things in life, don't you? So going out tomorrow on a boat with Rickstein, getting lobster, you know, make the most of it. But yeah, no, it's been lovely to talk to you, and I'm sure I'll speak to you soon, but thank you.
Thanks, Cara. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you have any comments, feel free to tweet us or comment on the post. We're making all of our interviews available to download. And if you want to support us to continue creating great content with amazing people from the hospitality industry, please take a look at our contribution scheme on www.thestaffcanteen.com.